Got it. Oh yeah. Got it. Testing 1, 2. Can you hear me now? Testing. Very good. All right. There we are. All righty. There we go. Alrighty, I think we can do story time now. So where to begin? Well, I guess I'm not in a rush to begin with any storytelling until somebody. Interesting. Okay, so I was just goosing up the audio on my receiver to see what it sounded like, because I'm curious how well the background and noise cancellation. But I also suspect that it cannot magically overcome any background noise. One thing I find absolutely frustrating about the camera I'm using, or I'm sorry, the phone mount, oh, it's not absolutely frustrating, it's just minorly frustrating, is that I can tilt it downward, but I can't tilt it up. Get the fuck over the screen. Yo, Bixby is like the worst thing ever. Like, you really got to make sure you're not hitting that stupid Bixby button. Hmm. It's like, wait, let's just go this way. Like, really? Really? You're gonna honk at me? Like, fucking go left. Yeah, I know I was probably in the way of traffic a little bit, but come on. You got right of way. That's like the whole point. The whole point of me having a tail light on my bike is so that you can see me. Oh, hey, look, a light. Somebody is riding a bike over here. I better not hit them. See, this is the problem with riding a bike in any, urban area, but I think suburban areas are like a little more hostile towards cycling because, you have enough people who don't ride bikes and only drive cars due to the suburban sprawl. And so they kind of, just, like, don't really empathize with the bicyclist at all. And then on top of that, you got these light signals that, like, sometimes don't make sense. It'll be like, go, but don't go. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here. So, yeah, so basically, in my experience, like, if you ride your bike onto the sidewalk, that's bad, because, that's ground which belongs to pedestrians. But if you ride your bike on the road, well, then people want you to ride on the sidewalk because the road is for cars. Now, don't get me wrong. I think cyclists should be beholden to the same rules as motor vehicle drivers. Damn it! I left something at home. Do I go home and get what I left at home? I don't really need it. Oh well. Let's see what Arwen Avalon is doing. Yeah, I'm gonna watch YouTube while I'm streaming. How about that? All right. Before I get hit, but I agree that cyclists should be, held to the same rules as motorists in terms of, obeying traffic signals and things of that nature. But that it's like, obviously, this is not a good road to ride a bike on. It just isn't, like, at all. It's not the worst road to ride a bike on, but it really depends on the people driving. Like, are they assholes? Are they nice? Are they people who have a big car? Like, it might not matter if they're assholes. If somebody has a really wide car, this little shoulder area might not matter. And technically, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing that if people, like, stay within the lines, I do have a shoulder area I can ride in with margin. So, for example, you see the storm drain. I should be able to circumnavigate that storm drain without, being hit by a car. But in practice, people will ride the shoulder in order to get past other vehicles. And so I've had times where I was like hugging the shoulder, like I was really on the shoulder, like hard right, like 1 inch away from the curb. And people have honked at me like I was the asshole. When in reality, they're the ones who, are not riding on the road anymore. They are in the shoulder. Like this is an area on some streets where cars are parked. And just because a car isn't parked there doesn't mean that cars automatically get right of way. Hell, I don't have right of way, but I think it makes logical sense for the bicycle to be in that area as opposed to on the far left. Yeah, so this is a popular walking path or jogging path or whatever you want to call it. In fact, the way this works is you have like a sidewalk next to this road, and every so many feet or every so many meters, you have a fitness station where there will be workout equipment, like outdoor workout equipment for adults. So at one station, you have like this monkey bar thing where you have to hang and kind of like do the American Gladiator thing. At another station, you have like an ab crunching thing where you go on a bench and it holds your feet down so you can do sit-ups. At another station, you have two pull-up bars, one high, one low, depending on your height. Then one of these stations has like literally nothing but a metal pole. It's a thick metal pole, like 6 inches or 8 inch wide, but it's nothing but like a metal pole sticking out of the ground. And each of the fitness stations will have a sign on the fence or next to the fence saying what you can do here. So at the pull-up bar, it'll tell you like if you're a beginner, do like 3 pull-ups and then run to the next stage. At the other stations, it might say like do more, do less. It would say like beginner do 3 pull-ups. If you're like intermediate or professional, then do like 10 pull-ups or do 3 sets of like 8 reps, whatever it is. At the station where they got the metal pole coming out of the ground, you basically have to like, it's sort of like that exercise where you sit in front of the wall, but you have nothing to sit on top of. It's like that, yeah. And like, so the sign told you to do that, tells you sit in front of this pole like this in order to build up your core body strength or some shit like that. And yeah, so let's see here. I should actually cross this line. Oh man, I forgot the downshift. See, that's like a trick with biking you learn is before coming to a stop, downshift. Just downshift. Because otherwise, good luck going from 0 to 5 miles an hour. So let's check my phone real quick.
Have you ever given someone a green gown?
A green gown? No, I'm making this shit up now.
Do you want to play couch whale?
Gown? What?
Move on to a fucktastic.
Couch whale? I'm sitting like this college session.
I can't reach my pocket. Oh shit, is that planet Venus? No, it's not.
Oh my God.
Just God, don't say her name every time she'll show up.
Ugh. Uh-oh. Houston, we have a problem. I hope this video is public. I think it's public, but I'm gonna double check because I'd hate to be wasting time streaming. Let's see, YouTube Studio. I put this started in studio, by the way. All right. Content, because everything today is content. There is no masterpiece. It's just content. Yeah, I don't like the way this is working. I was like, you know, the way YouTube shows my own stream can be very confusing sometimes. Like now I have to log into my computer remotely at home in order to check on it. So I'm like logging in remotely. Well, not that you can see anything there, but that's what I'm doing. Because I'm able to watch my own stream, but that's not really abnormal. It says I got 3 views, but I don't think they're actually unique views. And it does say public, so okay, it is a public video. So that just means nobody's watching it, which is okay. Oh, wait, why did my screen rotate? Whoops, rotate. There we go. Oh, cool, Pop Culture Mechanic did a video? Let's take a look. He's cool. Let's see, Pop Culture Mechanic. Oh, let's see. I think he's got an upcoming video. Yeah, every Sunday at 11 a.m. Okay.
Oh my God! Wait! I'm not. Oh,
All right. I think we're good to go. I mean, really not much I can do to adjust anything. Okay. So let's see. Let's line this up. Whoops, whoops, whoops. So yeah, this camera is an FPV mode, which means like it faces forward and it faces whatever direction I aim the camera. But it also has a mode where it will lock the gimbal. It'll basically not tilt up and down at all. Because when you tilt the camera up and down, it will tilt in the complete opposite direction, the exact opposite movement. So when you're riding your bike down this path at nighttime, it's good to have a headlight because if you don't have any type of headlight, you might miss something. And like right over here is like this patch of dark ground, and I can't really see it until I come up on it. But essentially, there's like major parts of sidewalk that just kind of come up and down, like drastically up, drastically down. And so it's like a bump, it's like a perfectly right angle bump. Like not something you want to ride into at full speed. Although that brings us to a story time moment. So first, I did figure out there is a way to put the video. I think there's also a way to force the video camera to run brighter while in automatic. So I just have to drag this picture of the sun up, and it makes the numbers at the bottom go to a plus. So it's plus 1.7, plus 2.0, plus 2.3. So this should allow it to continue to run automatically, but it will run automatically while I'm in this mode. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make sure that, okay, see, that's like annoying because I don't know why it automatically got darker. It's like I cranked up the brightness. I put the shutter speed to like nada. So actually, we're going to lower the frame rate to 30 frames a second. And we're going to put the quality into superfine mode. Even though it says the camera might. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that. I don't want to take a risk right now. I don't want the camera eating up power. But yeah, I mean, we got it on ISO 3200. Okay, so basically, I think what we're looking at might we might need a bright future because it's a good camera for what it does in the daytime, but it's not really like made for like nighttime imaging. And you know what? Why do we have all this? It just occurred to me that I should turn off the grid line. There we go. We definitely don't need grid lines. Like I find it convenient when I'm taking a picture and aiming, entering a frame, but we don't need it right now. But you know, I mean, what my eyes are seeing and what this camera is seeing is two different things. And I'm contemplating visiting my friend's house tonight or editing video tonight and making content in addition to this. But it looks like not only is the weather mild right now, but the skies are looking kind of clear. So it would be stupid of me not to set up for astrophotography. I mean, that's my shtick. I have a telescope. It cost me enough to set it up. Hell, I'm thinking about riding my bike home right now. Uh, Biking be darned, you know? I mean, this is already going to be like a 5 mile ride. I think if I ride to the end of this road and back, just sometimes when you're around sometimes when you are around these parts, you might accidentally breathe in a mosquito. So yeah, no bueno, breathing in mosquito. Okay, so we got the video camera running now, recording. What it's recording or not? And you know what? Yeah. Now, if I'm gonna be recording, now I want super fine quality. Alrighty. And like maybe if I had like a light, like maybe a red light facing me, so that the selfie camera could see my face better. But yeah, so I want to talk about a sci-fi book while we're here. I just remembered I was going to talk about it in the video, and I don't know. This might not. I want to recycle the footage from this ride, but if the wind is too severe, it might not be. But this book is called The Warp Marines. It's a series. The series of books is known as the Warp Marines series or something like that. And basically, it's about warp marines. Yeah, you know, marines on spaceships that go to warp speed or something like that, or enter into warp space in order to go faster than light, and they engage in battle. Well, it's a little more than that. So, the first chapter of the Warp Marine saga, I don't even know the name of the first book because what happened was the author released this series in a bunch of smaller installments, and then he then rereleased it as like a trilogy, or you know, like as a combination, whatever you call it. What's the word? Yeah, like a combination, a trilogy, an anthology. I don't know, but basically, like I bought one audio book that was like 30 hours long, and it's comprised of three separate books. The very first book in the Warp Marine saga, this very first book starts off with a alien ship being chased. These are aliens that resemble puppies or hamsters or dogs. They got tails, they got furry faces. And the captain is like, I don't know, it's got a name like King Commander something, and they got these weird royal titles for all of their crew. But that's not the important part. The important part is the ship is under severe damage, and they basically had to exit warp space at a somewhat random location out of hopes of getting away from a race of aliens known as the Restore. And the Restore look like snakes. They're like reptilian aliens, I guess, that resemble snakes, and that is the nickname they received later on by the humans. And they have a pretty powerful, tactical position, but and they're assholes. Like they're the kind of alien race that when they arrive near Earth, even though Earth is not helping out the dogs, the puppies, which they got a weird name. They're called Rahua or something like that. I'm gonna call them the puppies because I can't remember the name of the aliens, or I can't spell it right now off the top of my head. But the Rahua, whatever their name is, the puppies realized they made a big mistake exiting warp space near Earth. Now, they had like a 20% chance of like disappearing into the warp, so they took a risk as much as anything, but they didn't realize that there was going to be a technologically capable race of humans where they were exiting warp. They just saw that there was a gravity well and that this would be a relatively easy place to exit from warp space. They perhaps had the goal of hiding behind a planet in order to have some safety, but of course, the aliens that are chasing them, the snakes, come out of warp and they see this planet with radio coming out of it, and they think that this is a potential enemy, that the humans are in collusion with the puppies. So these snakes decide to like wreck the Earth, like they just start like blowing up the biggest cities, and they do it in interesting methods. Because nuclear weapons and stuff of that nature are illegal, they use this like weird thing that's a dome of like a force field dome over big cities, over population centers. And basically it gets hotter and hotter inside this dome. The heat doesn't escape. The idea is that they're allowed to destroy a population of, technologically advanced population, but they are not allowed to destroy the biosphere of the planet. That's why they're not allowed to anybody in a city is like seeing that there's this wall of fire, and any helicopter, any airplane that flies into this wall of fire blows up So from there, it kind of just shows a snapshot of what happened. Like you got social media posts and things of that nature where people are witnessing this catastrophe, and people within the big cities are basically like dying en masse. And by the time the dust is settled, 60% of the human race is gone. The rest of the world probably got hit worse because the way it happened was the snakes basically started blowing up all of the big cities in Asia and Europe, and then by the time they got to our side of the planet, they were stopped. Like basically, the puppies intervened just in time to prevent the United States from getting completely wiped out. When everything was said and done, the president was dead. Oh, the president in the beginning of the book, the president of the United States, basically surrenders right off the bat. He's like, I don't know what we did. We're sorry. We apologize. Please, for all decency, please don't kill us all. He tries to plead with the aliens. The aliens don't hear it. They don't care to hear it. And they basically blow up D.C. and New York and all of the big cities. Pretty much, actually, all of the coastal cities definitely get destroyed. So when everything is said and done, the person who ends up becoming president, the man who gets sworn in, is like a guy who was going to resign, who was involved in a scandal, but instead of resigning, he gets sworn in as president because he's really the only man left. It's like everyone else is gone. There's nobody else. There's no vice president. Pretty much, he's like number 5 in the line of succession for presidential, backups. So of course, this guy, being a former CIA type, he don't give a fuck about how history sees him. He's like, well, look, we gotta build up. We gotta make ourselves ready to fight these aliens and take the war back to them. And of course, to do this, it's going to involve changing the way our republic operates, or depending on who you talk to, some will argue with you and say that this is a democracy. Others will say this is not a democracy, that it is a republic. And although I agree that the original framework of this country is a republic, I think that, since the 1930s, the Great Depression and all of that stuff, the Teddy Roosevelt progressive era, Woodrow Wilson and all of that stuff, we do have a democracy now. And I don't even know if that's like a completely dirty word. I understand that the Bill of Rights and Constitution do not say anything about a democracy, but is the term representative democracy such a dirty word? See, that's the key word there. So I remember one time someone was arguing with me. They were like, "No, we don't have a democracy." I'm like, "Yeah, it's like more like a representative democracy," I said. And I said, "Representative democracy." And this is like different than a straight up state direct democracy. That's not what we have. I understand that. But to say we don't have any kind of democracy here, and yet people go to the polls and we have politicians constantly trying to buy votes, that looks like a democracy to me. I'm not saying the country was set up to be a democracy, but that is what it's become. Now, yes, we have a judiciary that can theoretically, enforce the rule of law and proper control. But I think we see how that's been working out. Topics here. But these aliens, the puppies, I'll call them again, they feel bad. It was their fault that we got attacked by the snakes. So, in order to repent, they left behind some advisors. Well, first they did protect us. Like, as soon as they were in position, they didn't have, like, much left. Like, their weapons were pretty damaged. But they did have enough weapons to, save us. So the puppies board the ship of the snakes, and then they go on their merry way. Now, they were able to do this because even though the snakes had better weapons, apparently when they came out of warp, they discovered that the snakes were way more damaged than they were. So they were able to win, okay? So they blew up the snakes before they destroyed the rest of the USA. And they leave behind some advisors. Basically, the puppies decided they liked the Americans more. They looked at, Asia, they looked at Europe, and they said, we like this America more than the rest of the world. So they basically, right off the bat, the first thing the puppies did was, aside from, save us from the aliens, they gave us missile defense technology that made, ICBMs completely useless. So, no more, Russian supremacy in that regard, or no more stalemate when it comes to, ICBMs and nuclear weapons. The second thing the puppies did was they left behind some advisors to help us develop new technology, or in order to help train us on their technology, in order to gift us with fancy technology. And basically, the book fast forwards 100 years after this big event. They describe a period of time where we spent 50 years kind of like, struggling to build our way up. And now we are able to take the war back to the snakes. And one of the first things we do is eradicate the motherfucking snakes. Because, hell, they tried to eradicate us, and they were pretty hostile. It becomes pretty clear that, in this book at least, that American ingenuity and human ingenuity liberty allowed us to like pretty much prevail and not only like rebuild but prevail beyond that to thrive. And pretty much within 100 years, 150 years, we became a major player on the galactic scale, on the galactic playing board. So yeah, that's the book. It's called The Wolf Marines, or at least that's the trilogy. It's written by J. Carello, and yeah, I like it a lot. And there's actually like I think at least 6 books. Unfortunately, I don't think there's anything newer than what I've read so far. But basically, you got like the first trilogy of books, blah blah blah, and then you got something else. I think it's called the Bicentennial War Collection. And so the Bicentennial War Collection takes place after the country's 200th year. And by the way, so the country, of course, is no longer the United States of America. And in this book, it is now called the United Stars of America. And that's because, of course, as we colonize the stars, colonize other planets, as a nation, they become part of the United States. I mean, we still have the, mainland U.S., the continental United States, but it's not really the same. It's a bit more federalized, like more centrally controlled. And this is one of the things that, like, the new president in the book outright says. He doesn't give a shit how the history books depict him. If the history books are, crapping on him, speaking ill of him 150 years later, that means that the country is still here. And it was really funny to me because he alludes to the idea of the living, breathing Constitution being bullshit. This is like a trope you'll hear sometimes when people are arguing about politics and constitutional law. And, you have constitutional lawyers and legal scholars who have an originalist interpretation. Basically, if they're going to make a ruling based on a constitutional, edict, they're going to try to, hold to, or try to base their, decision on the circumstances in which the law or the constitutional amendment was originally drafted. As opposed to saying, yes, back in 1810, this free speech meant say what you want and publish whatever flyers you want. Today, of course, we've updated that a little bit now. Free speech, they sometimes take, depending on which lawyer, which judge you're dealing with, they take a flexible interpretation to freedom of speech. The First Amendment is not, as regarded as it once was. It's still better than what they got in Europe. I mean, in Great Britain, you can get arrested for a freaking tweet. Hell, in Great Britain, you get arrested for a retweet. So we got progress. We're doing better in that regard. But, well, not progress. We're still going backwards. But at least we have that edge over, the British. And the argument is that, for example, one of the exceptions to the constitutional First Amendment is the idea that, what do you call it? The idea that you can't scream fire inside of a movie theater because that would cause a panic and people would trample on each other. And that is like a reasonable, rule. I mean, we have precedent for when people scream fire and when people panic and people die. We have clear precedent for that, and so it's like, that is an example of free speech that would not be protected. On the other hand, back during the founding of this country and the inception of the Constitution and Bill of Rights, it was understood that the opposite of free speech would involve censorship of, periodicals, news items, anything you print out, flyers, brochures. If that type of stuff is being censored, that is the opposite of free speech. So that was one of the reasons the First Amendment. It wasn't only a matter of like when I'm talking to Joe, I can say whatever I want. It was important that my ability to speak freely was protected when I was speaking on a larger podium, on a larger pedestal, to a larger group. So what else? I got spider webs on me. Whew. But effectively, your free speech protects your ability to speak on your soapbox um, and release flyers. The only exception is that it doesn't count or it's not protected if you're committing libel. If you say something libelistic and somebody wants to sue you over it and the judge decides that it's not okay or that you were lying based on the evidence, then you would be you would be sued. You could be sued. You could be held accountable. You could be sued and censored at that point. You could be told to write a retraction if it's a news article. So the First Amendment does not protect libelism. If the trial, finds that you're, the one who is lying. Now, the catch of that is, of course, even like in the early days of this country, if somebody, got like somebody said something truthful, but the person that they were, writing about was wealthy enough to, hire lawyers and sue them, and the person writing the article was not wealthy, then yeah, it would be basically the like what is it? The buying the judiciary, buying the right to free speech, or buying the basically, unfortunately, money can be used in order to win trials, and that is one of the weaknesses of that of the law, the law system that we modeled and borrowed from the British. There are some, positive aspects, but unfortunately, that is part of it. And it also means that, if somebody wants to manipulate things, they're wealthy and they want to donate money to uneducated poor people in order to win legal cases of this nature, that would also be possible. I'm being a little vague in that regard, but, we see examples of this to some degree when certain types of outdoor activity, rioting, and stuff like that, we see that certain political minds or political people will donate money or fund legal funds. They will pay for the bail. And when it's people they don't agree with, even if like the original reason for paying for people's bail sounds like it's based on principle, they will only apply the principle to some pleas for help will fall on deaf ears if the people being locked up are not considered, acceptable, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I'm starting to cage my words very sensitively because, when I'm out in the outer lands, when I'm near the wilderness, when I'm in an area that's somewhat desolate, I feel a little more free to speak. And when I get closer to any, populated area, I'm a little more careful about what the words I use. I don't want to say something like, they get offended by dumb stuff, and it's a matter of perception. Now, should we, censor ourselves for the sake of people who are overly sensitive or people who get triggered by speaking our mind? Not necessarily, but it depends on what mood you're in. If you're not in the mood to deal with people's bullshit, then yeah, you might decide to do just that. Anyway, I'm going to end this now. I thank you for watching if you're watching this in the future. And